Well, with us in studio is Rwanda's High Commissioner to Kenya, Ambassador James Kimonyo, just to give us more perspective onto this memorial. It's called the Rwanda Kwibuka Memorial. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes.
Many thanks for joining us on Worldview this morning.
Pleasure.
Let's begin with the impact of this memorial, 100-day memorial.
Yeah, the impact of this memorial is an opportunity for Rwandans and friends of Rwanda to come together on this date, which is 7th of April every year since 1994. This is going to be the 23rd anniversary, whereby we reflect on what happened, why it happened, how it happened, and then talk about how we forge ahead the unity and reconciliation for our country. And at the same time, it's an opportunity for the survivors and all Rwandans to remember and honor the victims of the genocide that committed against the Tutsi in 1994.
Something that will definitely be in Rwanda's history since 23 years ago. But looking back, 23 years Rwanda has come on this journey. What are the gains that have been made in terms of forgiveness? We had the Catholic Church, led by Pope Francis, also ask for forgiveness from the people of Rwanda.
I think starting from that, I really want to say, and I think our government has appreciated what the Pope did, because in the last 2 decades or so, we tried to engage the Catholic Church because of what happened, and nobody was able to really come forward and say, we are sorry for what happened. Our members of the church did something horrible, which is against the ethics, and the Pope came out and said sorry on behalf of the
maybe just
church.
To paint a bit more context, why was it necessary for the Catholic Church to apologize?
You see, we lost people. I mean, whether you remain adamant without saying sorry for us, it will not help us to bring back our people. But at least, if something happened, if the United Nations abandoned us, the United States abandoned us, Belgium and others came forward and said sorry. I mean, at least for the victims and for the country, it's a healing, process whereby you get people who come along and say, we did this, we never helped you when you were in the time of need. And apologizing, I think, is a normal thing for humanity to say, I was able to do something, I didn't do it, and this happened. So apologizing is a normal phenomenon. So we really appreciate what the Pope did. And I think this will really inspire others who have kept quiet for 2 decades without saying sorry to Rwandans and the victims of genocide that was committed in 1994.
And for the past 2 decades, the world has been able to witness that walk and journey of peace and cohesion in Rwanda. It's come a really long way, and many other African countries also battling with cohesion in their countries. What lessons as Kenyans can we learn from Rwanda, especially in the run-up to the election?
I think, and you are right, our story is a bit unique. A country that went through so much, whereby in a very short period of time we lost 1 million people. And today we are talking of the survivors living alongside with perpetrators that killed their family members. To be living in the same communities is something that is very difficult to explain.
Right.
But I tell you that we had to take that decision because we didn't have any other option. Life had to continue. We needed to come together. This sort had been divided for many, many decades. And the only way we could do it is to really begin to say, how can we transcend all these differences and forge ahead our unity? Because to be held back by the past was not going to help us. And I think we believe in dealing with the future rather than dealing with the past. Because if we create the conflict between the past and the present, then we're going to lose the future. That's the whole idea. And I think this has worked. We've seen the progress in every, sector in our country, but particularly we build on our unity and reconciliation to come together and go beyond the politics of identity that actually caused all this.
And I hear you speaking a lot about unity and reconciliation. Rwanda had a very unique means of reconciliation as well. I mean, what are some of the means of reconciliation that you would recommend in such situations?
It was a combination of delivering justice to the victims and the perpetrators, but at the same time fostering unity and reconciliation. Because we could not do one and leave the other. One example that is a homegrown solution was the Gacaca courts. These are not classic modern science legal entities. These are structures that we used for many, many years to to resolve conflicts and disputes, whereby people come together and sit in their communities and agree that something happened, someone participated. These people will come forward and confess. Unlike when you are in a courtroom whereby you and your lawyers will deny everything, in this setup, you are in a community of people who saw you doing something. So naturally, you feel like you have to say, yes, I did it, because everybody saw you.
Right.
You did it in the public. And then in that process of repenting and being remorseful, it gives you the opportunity to seek forgiveness. And then the people who are affected, the victims, tend to say, well, if I say no, what will I gain? Because my people are already gone. So in that process, we're able to somehow give punishment to those who committed the crime, but also give the opportunity for the victims to hear these people saying, yes, we did it, and then seek forgiveness.
Right.
And that process, we have been able to build a society that is now talking about building Rwandanness than building the ethnic groups like what we had in the past.
And has it been a seamless process? So has there been challenges in there, and what challenges are these?
The challenges are, I should say, based on the fact that there are people who still deny that this happened. You see, the denial of genocide is a natural defense mechanism.
Okay.
And after every crime, people tend to deny that they did it, even when they are caught red-handed. So the denial of genocide, and that's why you see even the theme of this year's commemoration is about fighting the genocide ideology, because there are people, those that committed genocide that are not yet brought to book, and their supporters still deny that genocide happened. Unfortunately, even some credible, important international organizations like UN, today as I speak, and I want to challenge KTN News to invite the UN representative in this studio with me, and we debate this issue. Because this is a genocide that was committed against the Tutsi population in Rwanda. It can't be a genocide in Rwanda, as they say. Because according to the International Convention on Punishment and Prevention of Genocide Crime, in its Article 2, that was adopted on 9th of December 1948, clearly defines what's a genocide. That is, these are acts committed with the intent, please note the word intent to destroy in whole or in part a particular group based on religion, ethnic, tribe, and others. So you can't say it's just a genocide in Rwanda. It should have been committed against a particular group of people. So it is a genocide. So that, when you don't call it the way it should be called, that is considered to be the denial of genocide. So it was a
genocide against the Tutsi?
Absolutely. Because it can't be a genocide in a country. It should be a genocide against a particular group. It can be a genocide in Rwanda if another country came to kill Rwandans as a nation. Because even the definition talk about nation, region, racial, or tribe, or ethnic group. So in our particular case, there is a group of people that was targeted that this is a section of the population which is the Tutsi.
Right, and I just wanted to touch on
so the denial, and people who still deny, and people who are actually thinking they can even come back and finish the business in terms of killing many people. Those are the challenges.
So we still have the issues and the threats of more deaths in Rwanda still lingering? Not
going on. Rwanda is stable, is the safest country. You can see all global rankings. What we are saying is that, like, when you go to Congo, there is a group called the FDLR. This is a group of militias who committed genocide in Rwanda, crossed over into Congo in 1994, stayed there, reorganized, rearmed, trained, wanting to come back and finish business in terms of killing more people. And so we call upon the international community to come together and fight these remnants and be able to close this chapter. Otherwise, I think Rwanda has moved on, as we are saying, but that's a challenge that we should continue to grapple with. Right,
and Ambassador, before we come back to the memorial, let's talk about Rwanda's relation with Burundi, as well as Rwanda's relation with Congo. There's been a lot of animosity, so to speak.
I think I should say that, and I ever said it in this studio, the issues in Congo, in DRC and Burundi, these are internal issues. Trying to externalize their problems to Rwanda, I think, is a way of diversionary act, in a way, to say that it's not our problems, these are problems that come from outside. But Rwanda is focusing on its development agenda, And Burundi should be able to come together, the opposition, and sit with them and agree on how to build their country. We went through the same. Today, when you look at our army and look at the members of our military, majority, I should say, of them used to be the fighters that were fighting the forces that stopped the genocide. But we were able to concede and say the only way we can move forward is to come together and agree that even the people that we are fighting with should come and be part of the national building. Right. And that's how we managed to resolve this problem. But you can't sit and say it's just Rwanda when Rwanda is focusing on its own internal issues in terms of development, and then, cry foul of your own mistakes.
So you're absolving Rwanda of any hand in what's going on in both countries?
Absolutely. If anything, Rwanda will benefit if Congo and Burundi are stable and prosperous, because we are in the neighborhood. We can't change our borders.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense for us to want to be a nice country that is on the move, and at the same time we want to have a stable neighborhood.
All right. Yeah. And let's come back. Residents or Rwandese citizens in Nairobi will be commemorating the Kwibuka
Yes.
on Friday here in Nairobi. Yes. What activities have been scheduled?
Yes, we are going to be at KICC. We have invited our members of community. We have invited Kenyans, friends of Rwanda. We have invited the diplomats to come and join us. So we'll have the formal part, which we include making statements, speeches from the government of Kenya, from myself and others. And then we shall have survivors giving testimonies. We shall have poems and all. And then we are going to have Walk to Remember later on in the city of Nairobi to try and inform the public about this event, which is meant to remember what happened. In fact, we want to share our experience so that this thing doesn't happen again, be it in Rwanda or elsewhere in the world. And thereafter, we shall have other events at universities, public lectures, and then we shall have another event in Mombasa to try and keep our communities aware of what happened and try to avoid it to happen in the future.
All right. Many thanks for speaking to us here on Worldview. Ambassador James Kimonyo is Rwanda's High Commissioner here to Kenya, and talking to us about the 23rd memorial of the 1994 genocide that took place in Rwanda, that will also be commemorated here in Nairobi on Friday by Rwandese citizens, led by the Rwandese High Commissioner.